Okay, let's have a look at filters then. I'm going to be using Live's little auto filter plugin to demonstrate this because it has a handy little graphic on it to show you exactly what's going on with some band, high and low pass filters. Okay, so I've got a really basic patch on Zebra here, which you can see is just a single oscillator, and it's producing a saw wave here. Okay, now if I play that, it sounds pretty raw. Yeah, so that's a basic saw wave, no filtering, anything. So if you can see the auto filter here, this is a low pass filter, as illustrated by this little diagram here. Now what this does is it filters out the high frequencies, the high harmonics. And at the end you're just left with the fundamental note. I'll try an octave higher. Now I'll put a high pass filter on. When I move this up, it removes the low frequencies. So you're just left with the high harmonics. Band pass filter is a kind of a cross between a low pass filter and a high pass filter. If you imagine this section is the high pass filter like that, and this is the low pass filter like that. So you can see it just passes a particular band of frequencies. Okay, so that's the three main filters. The third filter, the fourth filter, is a notch, and it just removes a certain notch of frequencies. It's kind of quite useful for phaser effects. Let me put this LFO on. So that gives you a kind of phasing effect, right? You can use it for that. You can also use it to notch out problem frequencies, but it's actually better these days to use EQ for that because they're a lot more powerful than they used to be, and a lot easier and a lot less expensive. So, high pass filter, low pass filter, band pass filter, the main filters. Now, what about resonance? Resonance is when you add an emphasis to the cutoff point of the filter. This bit here is called the cutoff point of the filter for obvious reasons. Actually, technically it's defined as the cutoff point of a low pass filter is the -3 dB point. In other words, when the signal is attenuated -3 dB, then that is the definition of the cutoff point of a filter. So this line here represents 1 kilohertz, and this line is 100 hertz, and this is 10 kilohertz here. So I've got it, the cutoff point set at 1K. If you look at the diagram here. Now the resonance, if you raise the resonance, it adds emphasis to the cutoff point. And it has the effect of boosting the harmonics at the cutoff point. So now if we sweep it, we can really hear an emphasis on where the cutoff point is sweeping. You can hear those harmonics being boosted at the cutoff point. Similarly, with high pass filter, same story. You can really hear it lumping there, and it hits a really heavy harmonic there. The resonance quite high. With band pass, it actually just boosts and narrows the pass band. So At low resonance, it passes a wide amount of frequencies, and at high resonance, it passes a much smaller band of frequencies. As you can see, the sides get steeper. Okay. So that's cutoff, that's resonance, and they're the three main filters. It's worth having a look at what the filter does to the waveform on an oscilloscope, just for curiosity. So here's my oscilloscope, a little plug-in I've got here, and I have that saw wave on Zebra, a low saw wave. Let's put it up an octave. So you can see it's a saw wave on the oscilloscope. Let's see what happens when we sweep the low pass filter down. Wait, I'm adding resonance, so you can see those little squiggly bits there are harmonics. That's where the harmonics are being added. That's what it looks like anyway. This is what it sounds like. Now, as I sweep it down further, I'll get rid of the resonance. You can see that the sine, it's becoming much more like a sine wave. In fact, when you remove all the harmonics, it becomes a sine wave. Now, if I was to carry on going further down, because it's near cutting off the fundamental frequency, then it'll just attenuate or make quieter the note. So there's no point in filtering it down till it disappears, which it has there pretty much. So that's a saw wave with the harmonics filtered out, and as you can see, it kind of becomes a sine wave. Interesting, huh?